Problem solved, I guess. Alright. Let's see before I even Ah. Cool. Ugh. Oh. Sure. Wait. There we go.
Next episode, I'm not even gonna say my name. Just silence both of us will stare. Exactly. I can't even give in to the temptation, so I just gotta cut it off immediately. Mark is over there in the corner doing something on the thing. This episode, we are gonna talk about pre-fall Eldar. I think we first of all we did talk about Slanesh and how he was the most recent Eldar god. Yep. And it was all from the Eldar. So today we're going to take you from where the Eldar left off with the old ones. Which was a good place. No, it was fantastic. Some would even say utopia. Somewhat? Somewhat. And think about it. The old ones left them with all this knowledge and tech, and the Necron-ter had come to Necron and fallen asleep. Yeah. Right? They left, and then the Eldar pretty much just had galactic supremacy. Anyways, so spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. You just learned about the entire episode. Yeah. So go ahead, turn us off. No reason to listen anymore. It's all good. That's all you're gonna learn. We're gonna do it in the next 40 minutes, but that's all you're gonna learn. Yeah. So we'll go all the Eldar up until the fall, and then at that point they take a massive shift, and we'll save that for another episode. Yeah. Couple questions I had previously from last time I put it out to people. One was, I've heard that there's killing of animal for skins. Does PETA know that? It's a good question. Great question, really. PETA was actually eradicated in the 38th millennium under suspicion of... yeah, no, they were very strong force. Yeah, it's hard to kill that ideology. Yeah. They were eradicated under suspicion of worshipping chaos god Siege, and sowing discord among the Imperium, which we all know doesn't fly over very well. Discord does not. No. It's believe it's work with us or die. Right. So, I would have thought it would have been like they start worshipping the animals of the god, and then the god emperor's like, hey, no religion. Yeah, no religion. Done. Kills them all. But like, obviously that's not true. But there's actually something really funny about PETA. Yeah. Little. I don't even know how long ago. It was a while. Maybe like within the year. Yeah, within a year. But these like. Can I swear? Like yes. These motherfuckers. Like. That's a lot of swear. They write a letter to Games Workshop. Like this is in real life. Yeah. Real life PETA is like, we need to take care of this. So they write a letter to Games Workshop. And in it, they are like, dear Mr. and Mrs. Game Workshop, whatever. We are so upset that your plastic figurines wear capes made of fur. Where's the honor in wearing fur? They go on this huge rant. Like, it's not like you could totally find it online. Yeah. Really, just Google PETA writes Games Workshop. Oh my god. It's like how? Thou shalt not adore fictional characters. Yeah, there's fictional fur. It's so pathetic. Like, how did that get past like their PR team?
PR guys don't have enough time to deal with all the shit that the guys bring up. The guys have too much time.
Their brainstorming room is trash. It's just like, how about we do this? It's so bad. Yeah, but it was hilarious because how do you condemn a fictional people? And when you and
That word even responded to it. I'm gonna look up how he responded.
don't like
I guess if you have an organization like where it's time efficient, it's like a social justice brigade. It's like I guess
they don't even care.
yeah, nothing better to do.
What's so crazy about it too is like the whole game 40K is based off of like genocide. But no, don't you kill an
Yeah,
animal.
don't worry about the
Genocide and like they destroy entire planets. They have nothing wrong with killing innocent people. Yeah. They have nothing wrong with killing innocent people and like wiping their blood on their armor to like it's pretty messed up. And they said no, the wolves. But isn't like this is because they were talking about the space wolves. But aren't those wolves like their friends? Am I wrong?
Yes, no. That's a whole big talk.
Okay, that sounds like something we
All
can
I
say
can
for the
say
space wolf
is
chapter.
there are no wolves on Fenders.
Oh my gosh, yes, that's right. That's right.
But,
Okay. No,
yeah.
no, I don't want to even talk to you about that. Okay, did you find the thing where
Okay, so Matt Ward, like, if you ever read their rule books, you know what I'm talking about. They have like this like little grayed out area, and then they'll have a date and like a title, and then they'll have like a paragraph. of
Yeah, it's
lore.
like it's a lower part.
Yeah,
of the codex.
yeah, and it's just like a random thing usually. This happened on this planet.
Oh.
Yeah, or it's like it's like a quote even sometimes from some people.
Yeah, you want to read it here?
Sure. So it says, so at M41, so pretty recently.
Oh, did you lie when you said they got eradicated? Oh no, never mind.
No.
This isn't their eradication.
Yeah. So it's at M41, and it's called Peter's Folly. So during routine survey of death through McIntyre, explore analysis is awaited by a civilian vessel, Peter's Folly. Of the death of its inhabitants. Admiral Crex's patience is swiftly exhausted and orders the interloper's destruction. However, Peter's Folly falls silent on the first blow. Later investigations determined that Peter was slain by a flollop of Catachan face eaters.
They're very cute. The face
I
eaters.
bet. I want one of them. Mistakenly liberated during a previous voyage, the creatures had waged a short but effective campaign of guerrilla warfare from within the Peter's Follies laundry room. So these guys on the Peter's Folly rescued these face eaters, and then the face eaters are like, "Bitch, this is 40K," and they ate them all.
That's games with shop's response to
But really, that's all you need. Alright, so one of the other questions that I got was, if you play games, are you required to spend a certain number of hours in the mall at Warhammer School? Good question, really. In order to be a part of the community, you also have to live in your mom's basement. You have to argue with your fellow Warhammer friends about whose army is the best. You smell like bad cheese.
check. I'm more of
Oh, trust me, I can smell you over here. And you have to spend a minimum of 25 hours a week at the store creeping regularly.
Oh yeah. Like I find it's actually best to be outside the store and kind of just like right into the store. That's kind of my go-to.
Yeah. You need to buff up the community.
Yeah.
You need more people.
Yeah, exactly.
Only for people that play too. Or Sisters of Silence.
Oh my.
Oh, oh, I'm tired.
Is there a break? Continue fighting the Eldar. Right. So they're like, whatever, we'll just go to sleep. Right. The Eldar will eventually die off.
You know, old age or whatever.
Old age.
Yeah.
You know,
Consumption.
but they know that the Eldar are actually immortal as well. Or functionally. Yeah, there's a couple stories. Yeah, like the one main guy.
Tired.
There's like guys that have 10,000, wasn't it? If not more. So
Okay.
functionally.
And they only
Or disease.
they will like
Yeah, makes sense.
at some point
Well,
a sword is gonna go through your heart.
especially
Right. Yeah.
especially right there.
If you live that long, you're probably more like every the longer you live, the chance of it happening is
Yeah, so the Necroter, they go to sleep, and then I guess that's right. The Necron, they go to sleep, and hand the galaxy over to the
So the Eldar have only fostered, taken under their wing, full ones, they put their wing out, the Eldar, they showed them.
Oh, my daughter's coming downstairs. Hey, baby. Where you going? Oh. Okay.
Well, okay, so, in my research, what I was reading is that, one of the reasons the Eldar created Eldar was a race that was really psychically powerful, right? Because the Necrons too.
Yeah.
And then what happens is the old ones see the effect that all of these burgeoning races, these powerful, psychically active races are having
Do 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 do. Where's all the Warhammer guys at? I know it's like Friday daytime, but I'm lonely.
He's even saying that the Eldar, whether unconsciously or not,
Yeah.
seeded other planets. So
It makes sense. Like,
it is like when you think about it, you go to a planet and all you have to do is drop off a couple bacteria,
yeah.
and then the process of evolution can take its.
And it doesn't even have to be that, like, minute.
Or they could drop off an animal.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. Like, it could almost be maybe even closer to terraforming than seeding.
Well, because that's why it says whether subconsciously or not. Unconsciously.
Sure. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, it is an interesting fact that like they also contributed to like the galaxies. Like they were the gods.
Yeah. Yeah. Total supremacy over galaxy.
And nothing could touch them. Oh, and then not only that, but then there's the webways.
Yeah.
Right? Like they built the webways. So the warp is a little unstable at this point, so you don't really want to step into it. Just you don't risk it.
Yeah.
Right? Like you know, if the water is even a little hot, you just maybe put a pin on the verge, maybe for some protection.
Yeah.
So they got their webways. They got all their
Q.
tech, they got all their crazy. They're just they went on.
So that's why. Oh.
Did you know that was a good one? I like it.
Yeah, it's actually. That was so clever.
It didn't register to your face for a second.
Yeah.
All right, so the time span of that.
Yeah, so this goes on for millions of years.
Yeah, like from the end of the war of the War Heaven
Yeah.
up until M30, or really probably sort of okay, M30. Let's go up to M30.
Sure.
So sorry, maybe you guys don't know how the dates work. M is millennium, and then 30 would be the 30th millennium.
So we're in M2.
Right. Like currently, like I live in M2,
Yeah.
and actually technically this is okay.
Is it?
Yeah, anything past like
Oh, yeah,
2000 to 3000.
0 to 2.
Yeah, 0 to 1 is 1.
So fudge.
I know. Well, you've been
This is
dating everything M2
Oh,
haven't
this
you?
has changed my entire
You're
world.
1,000 years behind.
I gotta go do my taxes.
It's like the Y2 current.
Yeah, so M30 is when everything kind of like culminates. So from the War in Heaven, which is history that no one knows about,
Yeah.
and like is so far back to M30 that you learn the height of the galaxy.
Yeah, so they got to the point where they advanced their technology so much they no longer had to do anything they were wants to do everything for. And one thing that they mentioned about that was that they had a bunch of like robots and like fought wars.
Yeah, the war machines. Yeah, I also saw like so I was reading from manual labor to transportation.
Yeah.
And then it said all the way up to waging war
Yeah.
was done by their machines.
Yeah, which is sweet. So that's pretty much
Which is sweet, but
sweet.
It's like contributed to a lot of, it seemed like a lot of the elder society was degrading because of kind of the debauchery that was going on.
Yeah.
and that would be probably the number one thing. Like
Yeah.
when you
You don't
have
have to work hard anymore.
and we're not talking like us, like we've seen like an increase in technology and innovation over like a span of what, 30, 40 years?
Yeah.
And it's been massive. I don't imagine that happening for like maybe
that even, really. I guess, yeah, in this case it would be
Because it's
foresight.
the Eldar, right?
Yeah.
Like, they would see, like,
Yeah, the trouble that's happening.
yeah, exactly.
And, yeah, so there's a bunch of these guys that end up making giant spaceships, and they all move onto the spaceship, and they basically fly away from their chrome worlds and, start a new life for themselves. And some land and some stay on the spaceship. But they basically are done with the Elder.
They're just trying to get away.
They're trying to get away from it.
And it says
Because the Elder culture gets so crazy that, like, they start just having giant armies and killing people. Like,
so it's described as like they are running through the streets, like and then even like for like I'm gonna get that feeling of like trying to kill someone.
I love how those are on the same level. Like, kill something. Fuck.
I'm assuming like
Somebody gets screwed.
yeah, but it like it even describes so it does say that they are chasing each other through the streets or
Yeah.
and then it goes on to say they're sacrificing children over relatives. I know, right? Right. So like it's what's crazy is that the majority of them it's just everyday life.
That's okay to them. They have very few
So
turn into Exodite.
you get these Exodus. They're called Exodus because of the fact that they Exodus. That's what they're I know, it's classic job, Games Workshop, like, what's original? That's Orks to Orks. Anyways. So you get these Exodites, they're gone, but there are some who just these
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Oh yeah, I gotta do them checks too. Ooh.
Really, it's disgusting. What, would you enjoy it? Like,
Well,
no, there's no.
the Elder must be doing it for some. If they didn't enjoy it, they wouldn't be doing it.
Leaving me sick.
And so,
make me wanna
in order for me to fit in, since I don't feel emotions as much as an Elder would, I'd have to rape and kill even more. This is
Don't say that with a smile on your face.
this is a society I could probably get behind.
Episode number 5.
Oh boy.
Eric calls the cops on Mark.
The first time will be the last.
That's true. Okay, so you get this race who has been feeding and so long. And another interesting thing is it's a double effect because when an Eldar soul dies, where does it go? To the warp. Warp. So all of those like emotions that build what the Eldar is now in warp. So they have an effect on it in life and they have an effect on it in death.
Yeah.
Which is insane because it's combat. So this is all happening. Cults are springing up everywhere. All they're believing is they're chasing like peaceful existence. Like what's crazy is that they truly believe
Hey, what up, dude?
this new cult company. So this demon Shanigan possesses the most important priest, and his cult, unbeknownst to them, begins
How you doing today? Where'd my juice go? I guess I didn't bring it down. Lay bummer. Yeah. Good times. Yeah, I'm gonna have to get up here and make the kids lunch here soon, I think. Yeah, finishing this guy up, and then I'm starting on the Defcopters. Woo. Yeah, it's turning out pretty good. Liking it. Where'd my... Oh, was that it? Nope. Oh, there it is. Yeah, I'll be painting a whole friggin' army on here over the course of the week, I think. And figure out whereabouts my Games Workshop order is, because if it's all the same and not much has changed, if I remember correctly, my nearest Games Workshop supply warehouse is in the States. It's in Tennessee, which is normally where it comes from. But they're telling me I think 11 business days or whatever is my order. So I doubt I'll get the rest of my army this rotation, which is fine. I'm sure I'll be all painted out by then anyway. I can go back to work and not think about painting for 8 days. Use my job as an excuse not to paint. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. The way I see it, I would argue that Canada is, at least where I'm from, Western Canada, is, the weirdest modern place in the world, because, people are like, oh, how do you, not just leave your house and go get something? And it's like, I live very rural away from a city, and it's yeah, I can see how that would, bother people, but at the same time, it's you know what I do when I'm bored? I get my bow, and I go out into the woods. That's just what I do. It's a different way of living, but it's I love it, man. It's the last free place in the world. There of course are rules. I can't just do it whenever I feel like it, but effectively, it's I'm kind of bored. I'm gonna go to the mountains that are 4 hours away, right? So it's where my brother lives, so I have an inn there. I mean, it's not that bad. I could drive 40 minutes from my house to West Edmonton Mall, which is it was the biggest mall in the world. Now it's not. But there's a Games Workshop in there, and they'd probably have what I want. I'm just too lazy to drive 40 minutes to that mall and potentially get stabbed. So I'm because it's in all of Edmonton really is a shithole. There's really nothing nice to say about it. Every main city in Alberta is like London now, because everyone's a crackhead. I'm just lucky that I'm huge, white, with tattoos and a big beard, and nobody really messes with me, so How the hell they like that's fucking crazy, man. Ban camping, like that's like unbelievable. If someone tried to pull that shit here in Canada, there would be a freaking coup. Like my favorite thing that happened recently in Canada, which is kind of the most, I mean, for me anyway, the most in-your-face version of censorship and propaganda I've ever seen, was the Freedom Convoy. I'm from Alberta, which was basically where it was born, because we really hate the government here. And what do you call it? Our Prime Minister, Trudy Boy, was like the famous words that like it's now a punchline between Albertans, which is a fringe minority, is what he called it. He's like, oh, it's just a fringe minority that are all grumpy with the restrictions and all this stuff. And almost every person that had a Class 1 license drove a rig right into Ottawa, blocked all the streets, were honking and partying 24 hours a day. Citizens of Ottawa are such bitches that they were like crying and trying to claim federal disability because of the torch. What do they used a special word? What was it? It was some sort of like, basically they were comparing us to war torturers, that we were somehow breaking the Geneva Convention of like loud noises for 24 hours a day or something. It was hilarious. But and then famously our Prime Minister responded by fleeing the city, saying that he had COVID and hiding out at his whatever vacation home or something. And now all of Canada laughs at him. He's a complete, I mean, everyone in the world laughs at him, but Canada really laughs at him. Like, anytime you even see him on TV, it's usually muted because the crowds are like screaming, booing, and throwing shit at him. It's pretty funny. Yeah, our Prime Minister. He's the guy that he got in because he's like, I'll legalize weed. And then everyone's like, oh, yeah. And then now he's the Prime Minister. And yeah. And the rest is modern day history. But yeah, he's something else. Like it's funny. Like, I don't like hate the guy. Like, I really don't. A lot of people, like, here in Alberta, holy shit, man, you see trucks driving by with giant like "fuck Trudeau" decals in the window, and everyone's descended into basically Trump levels of maturity. But I don't feel that way. I don't hate the guy whatsoever. But like, he is just the epitome of incompetent. Like, he has no business doing that job because he has no idea what the job is. Like, I'd be very curious to see like what he himself has actually done in office. Not that I care, not that I'm political in any way, but it's like a performance review like a normal person would have. I would be really curious to see what he has done personally on his watch, because he got in basically on the ticket of I'll legalize weed and I look really pretty and young people like me. That's how he got in, and it's been a disaster ever since. But as it stands right now, his approval rating's basically in the garbage. Like, I'm actually surprised, and I won't be surprised if all of a sudden the Liberal Party of Canada has a leadership vote or something, because it's so bad that he's basically bringing down the entire Liberal Party just by being associated with them. And I mean, it doesn't help that the face of your party is like all over the internet in blackface. It's kind of puts a little bit of a spanner in the works, if you will. Kind of hard to sit there and preach how inclusive you are when you got pictures of yourself dressed up as fucking Aladdin on the internet. I don't know. Jordan Peterson is a good guy. Like, I guess you could say I'm more of like a free speech purist, kind of like Elon Musk, which is like this whole cancel culture thing and all that stuff has gotten so blown out of proportion that I agree with him in the sense that it's straight up fascism. It's fascism in disguise. Like, it's It's if you're a big history buff like me, and when you went, you're the same age as me, you're roughly the same age. So we went to school roughly at the same period of time, but I remember learning about like the Nazis and all that kind of stuff, and it's like literally all these like far left people are using like literally the Nazi playbook of how to control a narrative, right? Like it's gotten to the point that you're not even allowed to speak of it. Like it's like merely speaking of it becomes hate speech, which is insanity, right? And it's yeah, exactly, reason and shit. Well, I mean, so yeah, funny thing. So like where I live, Alberta, like the whole, remember I told you, is grab your bow, grab your rifle, go off into the woods. Well, now the government of Canada is kind of fearing people like us. They're basically dirtying us, calling us, extremists or whatever. Not that we are. Like, we don't even have a club. Like we have Facebook groups where we like talk about hunting deer and stuff, which I guess is pretty extreme for them. And so they've been trying to like take our rifles and stuff like that, and they're fucking succeeding pretty well. And but it's like people like me, like there's other people that are way more vocal than me, but then I'm like, okay, well fine, if you're gonna be dicks about that, I'll just bring my bow. And now they're all butthurt about that. And it's really funny because when it comes to bow hunting, they have no leg to stand on because it's traditional hunting. And even to target it, you would meet just by trying to kind of be a dickhead about that, you immediately are stepping on the toes of the Aboriginals here because that's their traditional way of hunting, right? So you get to watch this really fun exchange of like the liberal Ouroboros of watching them eat their own tail because it's like they're trying to be so inclusive they become bigoted. It's great. It's really fun to watch them like devolve on live television about it. But yeah, it's a good time. But yeah, we actually almost Alberta got their panties in a knot so hard that we almost got the RCMP kicked out of Alberta. We railed the government so hard that we were trying to pass legislation to have provincial police instead of federal. Yeah, you know what? Honestly, and I don't even mean like. I guess at the end of the day, I kind of am a survivalist and a conspiracy theorist. But like people like you, get the hell out of wherever you live, immigrate, do something. Like it's scary. Like the way you live, humans weren't meant to live that way. Like we as a species are not meant to be crammed in like sardines. Like that's insanity. Like it's actually crazy. There's certain people, and I mean like you got to use your head because it only takes one paragraph for them to be like, and the Zionists are taking over the world, and then it's like, oh, you're one of those people. But you get to looking at how they basically compare how living it's like 500 years ago or something, like basically medieval times, and they talk about like the rights that the serfs and whatnot had or whatever, and they do a comparison to like today, and we're actually degrading economically and socially so fast and hard that we're kind of regressing back to those times of like basically slavery. Like, well, I mean, like the biggest the biggest problem for people of my age in this country right now is housing. The fucking nobody can buy a house. It's not possible. Like, I don't care how good your credit rating is. The house that I live in right now, I'm renting. It's a nice house, but it's like I would imagine that it probably is a $500,000 house with an unfinished basement, and it's like it's ridiculous, and especially with the way the economy is right now. No banks are even honoring mortgages, and even if you do go for it, the interest rate is so astronomical that it's ridiculous. Like now, there's a whole narrative in the media of they're like, well, why you shouldn't buy a house? Like buying a house is stupid now. And what's funny about that, if you think about it, is if that's the tone they're trying to set, which is like, oh, millennials and Gen Xers or whatever, like you don't need to own a house, like blah blah blah. And if you think about it, if the majority of people our age stop buying property, i.e. stop basically being enslaved by the banks, like what reason do you have to do business with a bank if you don't have a mortgage or a loan or something like that? So what's going to happen, as interesting as it is as a byproduct, is like we're actually going to kind of be free because they don't have an edge on us. They don't have leverage on us, right? And because of how people of our generation are, I mean, well, me anyway, of like, I mean, I am in no way the majority, not even close, for people who like to do stuff in the woods. We're definitely a fringe minority. We're fine with that. like the way we look at it, like let's just say this week political unrest, and my brother called me up and like, hey, we're gonna go camping for a bit, and it's like, oh, okay. If we went out and lived in the woods, set up, made property, cut down trees, legally, yes, police could come and tear down our camps, but then they run the risk of a few things, which is there is a lot more of us than them. And they have to basically disregard their safety to come after us in the woods. And it's an interesting thing to think about. It's a funny little thought experiment. I'm not in any way encouraging like violence against the police. They're just doing their job. But I just mean it's an interesting shift in the culture, if that makes any sense, right? Yeah, well, and they tried that here in Canada, and they fucked that up pretty hard because when that Freedom Convoy happened, day 1.5, Trudeau like signed some bill and seized all of their digital assets, and by doing that day, like that was the news of the day, being like, holy shit, that's how fast the government can shut down dissension. So now, I mean, I don't know much about Eastern Canada, but Western Canada, we're hyper paranoid. I carry cash. Like I got multiple bank accounts actually, just because. I have a centralized bank account, a non-centralized, and I have cash, and that's what I run with now. And what do you call it? Just because like that, I consider myself an average person, and that's how distrusting of the government I am. Like that's pretty wild when you think about it, right? Like it's not even that I feel the government's nefarious. I just think they're incompetent. Like honestly, I just don't think they're smart at all. Like I don't think that, like I know for a fact that our interests aren't. They don't give a shit about our interests, for one thing. I guess we'll see when Mr. Polivier or whatever the hell comes in. Like, I think he's going to win, bar none. Like, he's the only one that I deem is qualified to actually run a country. It doesn't matter if you like the guy or not. That doesn't matter right now. It's that he actually understands how, like, economies work and how, like, goods and services are exchanged for currency. Unlike Trudeau, that just really wants us to change the national anthem and to not use plastic straws anymore. So that's my rant. But yeah, that's actually a funny thing because I mean, well, it's not funny, it's kind of terrible, but like I have a freezer down here full of elk meat, and I just bought a second freezer because my wife's boss's son just shot 2 elk, and he does not have room, and he's like, do you want it? I'm like, yes. So I just ordered another deep freeze off the internet to stock it, because it's delicious, by the way. Like that's another thing. I get friends and family, mostly friends from around the country, that visit at my place, whatever, because I'm a fun guy. I like to come and hang out. But when they get to come here, they get to do things they don't normally get to do. Like, for instance, if you were to come over here, I'm like, well, here's a rifle. Let's go fuck around in the woods for a bit. And, it's kind of an experience for them, right? But when I cook for them, they're like a lot of people, like, you hear this a lot. They're like, oh, I don't like X meat because it tastes gamey or something like that. And then, but, like, I have never once have I heard someone say that with my cooking. I know, but I'm pretty knowledgeable with that kind of stuff. But it's like for instance, I don't eat bear. You can, people do. It's just not a desired meat because bear. That's the same reason you don't eat human, because we have garbage diets, and it's our meat doesn't taste very good, right? But because bears are scavengers, right? They just go through. They eat what they can. They come across a dead animal. They're like, oh, sweet. And they eat it, and they fucking find a garbage can. They're like, sweet, free food. And that's what they do. But no, in my opinion, elk. Elk's the way to go. Elk's my favorite meat that I know of. I like deer. Deer is. I understand. Some people are kind of about it, but it's in my opinion with that, it's how you prepare. It's how you make it. So, deer, I guess you could say, is a little gamey. However, all I do with deer is sausage, jerky, and I mulch it for chili, and you'd never know. You wouldn't be able to taste the difference. The biggest difference, my point that I was getting at, was that people that I've had over to eat or whatever, they can't stop talking about how good it tastes. And when I ask them, like when I press them, like, well, what's different? Why does it taste different? They're like, I don't know. There's just something about it. There's just something different. It's like, yeah, it's not fucking pumped full of hormones since the day of its birth. That's the difference, right? Is that our food laws here, especially in Canada, we have actually pretty strict food laws, in a good way. Like the States has the opposite of that. Like they have horrible food laws. Like they could literally feed you trash and get away with it because they're allowed to. But here in Canada, that shit don't fly. That's actually a big deal with people trying to sell meat. Like me as a hunter, I actually have to get an inspection certificate and permit to sell game meat because it's so heavily for legitimate reasons too. It's not just an FU to you. It's like if you don't understand, like for instance, it's happened to everyone. Like say you take down a deer, you're processing it, and then you notice that it has ringworm. Well, you can still eat that. Like you can still eat the meat. You got to understand like what you got to do with it, right? It's a parasite, and it wouldn't do anything to you. Like you'd probably get sick, but all it is a worm. And like so, what you do is you'd cut that piece of meat out, and then basically depending on how it looked, like you just gauge it. I just literally go by look and smell. And like say for instance the leg was really bad, cut the leg off, pitch it, leave it in the bush. Like it's that's about all I would do. But in my opinion, you can usually also tell this by looking at an animal before you shoot it. Like if it's all like missing, if it looks like it's been running around Chernobyl, maybe don't shoot the deer, or shoot it and leave it there because it's probably in horrible pain. But what do you call it? This might sound complicated. It's really not. You got to remember, people 300 years ago were doing this. Like, it's not hard. Some people are better at it than others, but it's not by any means a difficult procedure. We have all the technology in the world. But it was like my last rotation off. I went up ice fishing with my brother, and him and I, we get there at 8 a.m. Set up our little spot there, start augering out some holes, start fishing. His buddy that he brought up is Mr. Angler Extraordinaire, and he's got his whole base camp set up with his camera systems to watch all the fish under the ice. And all we ended up doing was watching him get pissed off at all the fish not biting his line, and it was the funniest shit ever. Just watching. I'm like, so let me get this straight. You paid what? How much? $250 for that camera, and all it's done is piss you off. I'm like, that's rough. I'm like, you're doing it wrong. You're just supposed to sit here and bullshit and then wait for your line to go. But yeah, it's pretty funny. But yeah, that seemed that, in my opinion, that's kind of the shift right now as far as the culture goes, which is we're kind of like ignoring the government, so to speak. Like we kind of just don't care. Like it's like, that's how I am. I don't even check my mail anymore. Like I don't care. And when COVID happened, I just stopped paying my bills. And it's like my credit rating's in the toilet, but I just stopped caring. Like it's like what like if you think about it, what incentive do I have to do it? Like the whole reason, you better pay your bills and better have a good credit rating. Why? To buy a house? Like I'm not gonna buy a house. Like I don't have a hope. Like that ship has sailed, man. I'd rather just enjoy my life and then set my kids up for success. And the way I see it, I'm gonna be buying a fucking trailer and like traveling. I'll be a fucking gypsy, live my best life. Like it's yeah. Like it's kind of funny. Their system's kind of collapsing by. Oh yeah, I believe it. Percent of people that have processed it, eaten it out. Yeah, and the thing is, though, if you think about it, really, it's not that hard. Like the only thing I could see is people like, oh, it's a little gross, and maybe it is. Like I don't see it that way, but like, let me tell you something. The 5th time you do it, you're not even paying attention. Like you're talking to somebody, you're thinking about something else. Like it's not even in your mind what you're doing. Like it becomes second nature. Like I can clean a fish so fast and efficiently. Like I'm not even thinking about anything. Like I'm just like do. Like it just becomes. It's like flushing a toilet. You don't consciously think about doing it. You just do it, right? Like it becomes reactionary. And that's messed up when you think about it. Like that's almost dangerous. Like like you're setting up a society to fail. Like my biggest thing, and I think this was kind of localized. Like I don't think this happened worldwide. I think this only happened in Canada, and it was this was like I'm gonna say about 7 or 8 months ago. Our one of our big telecom providers, Rogers, they just had a glitch in their system, whatever. But the mobile service went down for like 24 hours, 36 hours, or something. Like nobody could use their phones, and like it was literally like almost a scene out of like 28 days later, and I'm not exaggerating. There was people just standing in the street just staring. They didn't know what to do. Like they were so confused. Like they couldn't go anywhere because they didn't know where anything was because they rely so much on GPS. Like it was kind of terrifying to watch. Like I'm surprised Stephen King hasn't wrote his book about it. Like it absolutely was like wild to watch. It's like I got a phone. I dick around on the internet on there, but like it is all a phone has ever been to me is a tool. Like I don't give a shit. I don't play games. I don't fucking I don't know, do other stuff like, or I check my bank account, I guess, or do stuff like that, or do quick Google searches here and there. But like if my phone went down for a day, and it's like I'll be like, oh, okay, just carry on with my life, which is exactly what I did. But yeah, it was wild here. It was all over the news. It was the number one story, and then like the Fuhrer of Rogers came out for a statement, and he's like, "I'm so sorry, we failed the people of Canada." And I'm like, okay, it's not that big a deal, but apparently it was a really big deal because everyone was losing their minds. It was like, okay, like accidents happen. I'm pretty sure that guy didn't know what the fuck's going on anyway. All he's used to doing is counting money. So yeah, it was really weird. It was like an episode of the fucking Twilight Zone. Like it was just weird. Like that what do you call it? What blows my mind, and this I do believe, is I think this situation in Ukraine is going to spiral into a global conflict. Like I think it's just inevitable, one way or another. Only because like I follow history, and this is literally lockstep what happened with World War II. Like take out the names of the countries and do some fucking Mad Libs and just and position everything back in, and it's all happening the same way. Country invades another country. Nobody, allies, quote unquote, NATO, don't respond. Well, then all of a sudden all this starts happening. Like it's almost lockstep in the timeline, right? And I think that it'll be. I think that the reason they will want to get involved, like the world, will be for many reasons, but namely population control, because you throw people into the meat grinder and you're gonna reduce your population a little bit, and we have a population problem right now. People will learn skills, like the boys will become men again. Like I don't mean that in any other way of like guys are pussies now or something. I don't mean it like that, but I mean you're gonna break people down, break their bad habits, get them into more of a survival mindset. For if they survive the war or whatever, they're gonna come back, as stronger people with better values. Because if you think about it, like people today, like our age, have like stagnated, right? Like they're so used to a certain way of living where they don't know any other way. But so there's that. There's the financial aspect, which is like we're already like the allies, NATO, are already in a winning position. Like if they were to jump in, it would be they would get destroyed. Like Russia won't be a country anymore. It'll be a series of Baltic states. Just because Russia's already showed their hand, they've already been spread thin, and NATO's got 100 and something allies. Like we outnumber the world. The only risk is nuclear war, which I don't even think it'll come to that, because I truly believe that the States is so technologically advanced that I think they've solved the nuclear problem years ago. I think they can literally turn off weapons. Like I think they can. Just all the documentaries and all the crazy shit that I've watched, and all the money they pump hundreds of trillions of dollars into their army every year, right? I don't know. I could be wrong. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think I am. But like that's why I think they're so cocky with everything, is they just know they know that Russia doesn't stand a hope in hell. But China, on the other hand, they're a bit of a threat. But the problem with China is that they have all the bodies in the world, but they have no way to get them anywhere. Because they're effectively landlocked, with the exception of the one coast they have. The one coast that there's probably a freaking U.S. sub every 9 meters waiting for them to do something stupid, right? Like it's one of those things. But I mean, ultimately, I hope it doesn't come to that because that's bad. I do not believe in war. I think war is horrible. But I just also believe even less in mankind. I just think mankind as a whole has kind of lost their way, and capitalism is a big part of that. I'm not a fucking anti-capitalist or nothing, but I think that it was a short-sighted goal, is what I think it is. But it's become a soulless machine. Yeah, but that kind of conflict, I don't think they would need to conscript for it, if that makes any sense. Like, I think there's enough military members, at least throughout the world, that would get called in. Like, the only time you're calling up conscripts is like if shit's going bad, right? And I mean, the way war's fought today, like, dear God, like there's almost never boots in the ground until it's over, right? Oh, 100%. It'd be 80% USA. Yeah, exactly. But like the way war's fought now, like this is actually kind of important because the way the war started in Ukraine was kind of a conventional war, and within 8 months, it's all drones. Everything's drones. Drones. Whoever's got the most drones is doing the most. It's pretty wild, actually, how quick it's changed. So yeah, that's another thing. It's basically fucking Star Wars at this point now. It's weird, but yeah, I don't know. But anyway, yeah. But back to my point. It's I don't think the world can feasibly survive on like by working together. If that makes sense. I think we tried it, so to speak, like the whole capitalism thing, and everyone, even China was trying to participate, even though they're crazy. And but then COVID happened. We got all the big money got scared and moved back secular to its countries of origin. That's why we're having all these crazy shifts in power and shortages or whatever, is because we all relied on the other thing. Like, oh, China can pump out stuff, no problem. Well, the reason China can do that is because they basically enslave children to work, 19 hours a day, and we turn a blind eye to it. But I think people now have gotten a little wiser, and they're like, wait a minute, that's kind of fucked up. And I think people are being a lot more vocal. That's where I'm becoming more vocal, which is I don't want to do any business with China. Not because I don't like Chinese people. Quite the contrary. What do you call it? I think that they should be absolutely punished into the ground for their deplorable conditions. Like, I get it, they're communist, whatever. But it's like, that shouldn't be okay. You shouldn't be able to purchase another country's labor because you can be like, and you can just be like, oh, I didn't know, or oh, it's fine over there, so it's legal here. I think that should be punishable by life in prison. If you're a business owner or a politician that knowingly works with people like that, I think that should be life imprisonment. But that's my personal beliefs. But well, right, that's the thing, and it's like, but if you think about it too, define winning and being at the top. Like that's almost a product of the culture, right? Like that's how you win capitalism, right? Is you become a CEO or whatever, and that sort of thing, where it's like, if you take 2 steps back and you think about, I own a little acre of land, I live in a little house, I have a small farm, and I have a forge. Well, how do you get food? Well, I help my neighbors out. I repair their stuff, like that. If you move smaller and more secular, like everyone's happier, everyone's equal. Like it's you care about your neighbor. I think that's the biggest takeaway, is like we've become such a soulless, faceless society that like I know my neighbors. I know my neighbors specifically because when I moved here, I went and introduced myself to them, even though I'm pretty antisocial and that's weird. I just think it's weirder not to. Like, it's to not know who you live next to is like really fucking weird to me. Like, that's almost like dystopian. Like, that's, I don't know. But I also live in a nicer area now. But, yeah. But, yeah, it's kind of funny too, because I had one of my neighbors come over and like, I had a whole bunch of blood in my garage, and they're like, I'm like, it was an animal. They're like, oh, okay. I was like, no, I'm not a fucking serial killer. And it's like, yeah, processing an elk in my garage. Because it was like -20, and I was like, well, it's a cold snap. No sense in taking this to the butcher. I'll just do it at my house. But, because you have to let it hang for like 2 weeks before you can process it. But, roughly 2 weeks. Minimum 2 weeks. But. Yeah, exactly. And I think that's also where the mistakes were kind of made, right? Which is we became so big so fast, so the government had to like make jobs so people could make money. Like, you know what I mean? You know what I'm getting at? Like I mean, like in think of 50 people as best you can, and out of those 50 people that you know, how many of them are quote unquote a tradesman? Like they have a trade, like an actual skilled job. Like they don't just work at like a call center or something, right? Like a people farm. Like it's like, oh, I'm a butcher, I'm a mechanic, I'm a carpenter, that kind of thing, right? Like an actual skilled trade. Yeah, unskilled labor. Like like the definition of an unskilled labor now is like a product of capitalism. Like, what do you do? Oh, I work at, customer service for Hasbro. It's like, oh, okay. Like, no offense to the person that does that, but it's like that's a nothing job. Like if the CEO moved the company to Italy the next day, you'd be out of a job, right? Like it's that freaks me out. Like that's why I went into the trades. Like when I was a kid, I started out as a carpenter. And I got bored of it, and then I also got bored of all my coworkers being on meth. So I was like, well, this is kind of stupid. So then I went into the oil field, made a bunch of money, and became a mechanic, and I kind of just stuck with that. But it's kind of more of a higher end trade here in Canada anyway. Like being a heavy duty mechanic's kind of a pretty respected trade because it takes a lot of education. It sucks, but I did that, so that's what I do. But yeah. And it's also, I like how broad it is too. Like I can work anywhere with that basic knowledge. Like, cause I didn't even finish. I'm not even a tech. I'm just a journeyman. And, I did my 2 years of on-road, and then I went to do my 3rd year during COVID, and they shut it down, and I failed that test, and I was like, fuck it. I'm going to go be a dumb farm boy. And that's what I did. And I've never been happier. And now I get emails from that college all the time being like, come back, we've changed. And I'm like, nah. Now, oh yeah, that's what I was looking at. I wanted to know what color to highlight that. I think it was Scrag Brown or something. Normally I don't highlight that, but it's really big, so I'm going to. Mornfang Brown. I don't remember. Wait, I guess I could just Google it. I think it's... It's either Baneblade Brown or highlighting Mornfang Brown. Can't remember which one it is. Yeah, Scrag Brown. Okay, I was right. Well, yeah, right? And it's like, yeah, and that's the whole thing too, is, I mean, I remember when I was starting out, it was actually hard to get into the trade because they didn't want to hire an unskilled person. Like they, because, the company has to kind of take a hit, so to speak, when they hire an unskilled, like mechanics, even where I'm from, like it's cutthroat. Like it's companies' margins are so thin, or so they claim, that they don't want to like take on an apprentice. They don't want to put the time in to train them or whatever, because they want to be able to like crank out X amount of for sure work that fast. But now they have to, because now we're in a massive like people deficit. Because when COVID happened or whatever, a lot of, at least where I live in Alberta, a lot of people just said fuck it and went home. Like they went back to the East Coast, went back to Newfoundland, stuff like that. And now, of course, the government's freaking out because they don't know what to do. And so now, all of a sudden, there's all these government grants that are becoming available and trying to entice employers to bring on more apprentices to get the trades back up and running. And I'm just sitting here fucking laughing because it's like I'm an idiot and I saw this coming. Well, how the fuck could you not see this coming? Like, cause and effect. Like, actually, the craziest one here is our what do you call it? Our medical first aid. What do you call that? Hospital staff. So Alberta. So this is one of the drawbacks of being where I'm from. So I live in a very, 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 very conservative province, and like arguably we're approaching Trump level weird worship of our conservative MLAs and whatnot. And it's not all the way there, but it's close. Like, I mean, 5 more years and I'm pretty sure we'll be there wearing funny hats and shit. But it's so when the conservative playbook here in Canada is when you're running out of money, the first two things you cut are education and healthcare. That's how they make back all the money. They pump it all into the trades. So then you get that whole divide of people like, oh, we don't need more tradespeople, we need more blah blah blah, like, school teachers and whatnot. And they're not wrong; they're absolutely right. But it's always this constant back and forth, and it's like, because it's like basically conservatives get in, they do the conservative thing, and they they take all the money from the teachers and the medical, and then they put it in the trades, and then 4 years later, liberals get in, they reverse it. It's this constant back and forth, and what tipped the scales was the whole COVID thing, because we had a conservative government get in, and then do their playbook. And then COVID happened, and we had no staff, like in the hospitals. Like our hospital in town here, if you're fucking dying, it's 6 hour wait. That's the thing I love. So people that aren't from here, when they're like, "Oh yeah, you guys got free healthcare. You guys know where it's at." Blah blah blah. Yeah, they're absolutely right. We have free healthcare, and because it's free, nobody gets healthcare because the minimum wait is 6 hours everywhere you go. So now you got people like me that are yelling, being like, "Look, if you guys I'm down for privatization." I'm down for privatization strictly for the reason of, like, I would rather have money taken out of my paycheck like they do for my pension and put it towards a privatized healthcare, so I could call my doctor personally, go and see my doctor, and then get care. The way it is now, nobody gets care. And my favorite thing, because we live in the world we live in right now, is that as soon as you bring that up, you're automatically racist. Because, well, what about all the immigrants? What about them? And it's like, well, what about them? I don't mean, I'm not saying that to be mean. It's like, well, if they don't value their healthcare, then don't buy into it. That's the freedom of it. And like, well, but they can't afford it. And like, who are you to say they can't afford it? It's like I mean, you don't know what they can and can't afford. If anything, immigrants coming here have probably a better understanding of money than we do. Like, they actually left the place to to try and have a better life, whereas we didn't. We just live here. And we're like, oh, I shouldn't have to do that. Like, anyway, that's neither here nor there. But like, that's the kind of mentality we deal with right now. Exactly. Yeah, it's same thing here. Our ambulance might be a hair better than that, but about only that, a hair. Like maybe 3.5 hours instead of 4. Like, that's another thing too. Is we got paramedics and whatnot that are so overworked that they're starting to go crazy and blow their brains out and shit. That's been happening very frequently in the news, especially all through COVID. But yeah, like I said, I think it's gonna get a lot worse before it gets better. And I think it'll be, like I said, I think it's gonna be a conflict. I think they're gonna suck us into conflict to try to force the issue, to change the narrative, so to speak, right? Like because I mean, if war is good for anything, it definitely unifies a country. So, yeah, nothing is makes humans happier than having a common enemy, right? And you already hear it now between your friends, and you're like, those fucking Russians, they're already doing it. They're already doing the classic human playbook, which is dehumanizing the enemy, right? So, I was watching this what was it? It was a video. Oh, right. It came across YouTube, my YouTube or whatever, and it was like, what's whatever, insert cartel boss leader here, what he's doing these days, kind of thing. He was a big cartel leader, and he's at this crazy, super insane max prison in the States, and he's in a cell like 22 hours a day. But so they were showing other people that are that stay at this specialized prison, and there was Ted Kaczynski, the Unabomber. And I'm gonna say this, and don't feel weird about it. Is I actually, like, idolize is a strong word, but I respect and understand Ted Kaczynski, And if you actually like read up on him and read up like his manifesto and why he did what he did, like he was wrong. I'm gonna state that right here before fucking before RCMP raid my house and arrest me. He was wrong. He shouldn't have done what he did. But like everything he states in his manifesto has come to power. Has come to pass. Like he basically stated that commercialization and like late stage capitalism, corporatism, all that stuff was going to come in and take over, and like everything that's happened, he's like, we're not even going to be able to look outside at night without seeing an ad, that kind of thing. Like it's he was a hardcore radical anti-industrial nature. What do you call it? Activist turned terrorist, the Unabomber. If you're not familiar, but what do you call it? Now, the reasons he went around Unabombing are a little different because he was actually It's not confirmed, but it's basically an agreed upon fact that he was inadvertently a part of MK Ultra. He was a child prodigy. I think he was 14 or 15 years old teaching at Harvard because he was a genius. And I can't remember the guy's name, but one of the main guys of MK Ultra was also a professor at that university, and he used that position to conduct experiments and whatnot and to push that that program or whatever. And Ted Kaczynski apparently became a part of it when he wanted to study his brain because he was a young prodigy, and they believe that him doing that is what kind of set him off, is what they agreed upon, radicalized him, if you will. It was one of the agreed upon facts of what happened, because the Ted Kaczynski guy, like think of an autistic person, right? Very smart, but not socially developed very well, and that guy basically just took advantage of that, right? So, but yeah. But everything that he basically stated in his manifesto has come to pass, which is pretty spooky, if you ask me. But and I do think in our lifetime there will be a return to like the simple. I think that, and I think it started with COVID, which is people are just. It's not even people are like gonna want to fight back like violently or anything like that. I think it's going to be a complete movement of it'll be a complete societal change of apathy. People like me, they'll just stop caring. Like it's just, you just kind of just stop participating because you're like, well, what's the point? Like it's a game people are playing that they've already established who's going to win and lose before we even came to be, right? So I think that's what I think anyway, but we'll see what happens. Moral of my story is carry cash. Because I think there are bad times ahead. Well, here's a good question, because I haven't talked to many people from the UK lately, anyway. But how has because you're similar to my age, how has the Brexit thing affected you? Because I'm curious. Like I heard, I knew it happened, and I know kind of roughly the ins and out of it. But what is it now? Like, is it like, can you like not travel anywhere, or is it really hard, or is it like, do you guys like have problems getting stuff to the country, or is it great? I'd be curious to know. Did I dry brush this? No, I don't think I did. Oh, okay. Because I remember when it was all going down, there was one guy, I don't remember who it was, but he said something and it made a lot of sense. Like I completely agreed with the guy, and he was all pissed off about it. And he's like, all these people that are in favor of Brexit are like senior citizens, and it's like they shouldn't have a say in this. It's like they're going to be long dead before these changes come in and affect everybody else. And I was like, he's got a pretty solid point. Like, because it's the way I heard it here is it sounded more of kind of like an under the table racist kind of thing, which was the older people didn't want it because they were tired of all the immigration, is what it sounded like to me. But I don't know. I'm just a dude that lives in the woods, so I don't know. Oh, you have an autistic son. Shit. That's crazy. Good for you. Yeah, that's unfortunate. Well, good for you for being a good person and fucking taking care of him. So many people here are shitty. Yeah, I'm pretty sure if I were to go to a doctor, I'd probably be on the fucking spectrum. But that's also because I have massive paranoia with, what do you call it? People with authority I'm a little paranoid of, but for good reason. As an old friend of mine who's in the RCMP told me, well, perfect paranoia is actually perfect awareness. And I was like, yes, I agree with that statement. Ugh. Plus, I don't understand why people get all weird about me when I talk like that. Because it's like, I don't understand why people disagree with me. I'm like, I'm just trying to like help you people. Like, you guys like being a slave to your system? Like, you know, this isn't the only way to do things. We've done different countries have done it differently since the dawn of time. It's like you're being conditioned to not ask questions, which is very scary. That is a very, very slippery slope. It's like, what if I told you we could change things and everyone could be happy? The people at the top couldn't buy yachts anymore, but who cares about them? No, I'm familiar. I know people with autism or whatever. It's like, it truly is a spectrum. Like, there's some people that are like, you know, wearing a helmet and they can't be left alone because they'll hurt other people or themselves. Or there's people that aren't very good at talking to people and are fucking mathematicians. Like, it's a pretty broad fucking category. Yeah. Yeah. My mom, she specialized in developmental care to some extent. Like, effectively, she started as like a frontline care worker, and then as she progressed, she got working for the government on basically the board to govern people with disabilities, like to give them rights and shit, to make it so it's like, hey, I don't think disabled people should have to pay for bus passes, and then the government's like, okay, that's fair, that sort of thing. I can't remember what her title was, but then the Canadian government, at least here, shit the bed and is running on life support. So, yeah, no, that's so basically they consider that. I think they consider that the high end of functioning. Like, you basically have a lot more of the pros and less of the cons. Good, have them fucking invent the next Amazon. Yeah, there you go. I have a relative that it's like, 'cause my family, we're all basically like, for the most part, tradespeople and hunters and whatnot, and we have one black sheep of the family, and he was I don't know, maybe he's a little autistic or something. I can't remember if it was ever like confirmed, but basically, like, there's all that, like, I'm a heavy duty mechanic, my dad was a tool push on an oil rig, and all that kind of stuff. And then there's this one guy, and he basically had his PhD like in computer science, computing language, and he's written like textbooks on it. And it's like, yeah, he's like, you can't even have a conversation with the guy because he's on such a level. It's like, oh, cool. Like, you're really good at them porn boxes, hey? But how high does this sit? Can I just paint this on the guy, or do I actually have to? Oh, I can. Cool. Yeah. Get him in. Well, I mean, hey, at least he'll have a good education. Don't have to worry about that. I mean, being a self-starter. If he's 10 and he's already coding, I'd say he's well on his way to having a pretty decent career. When I was 10, I was jumping my bike off of things, breaking my arms. Do 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 do. Oh fucking hell! What I? That's another thing. Here in Canada, I do love that we're like the last bastion of common sense, which is like, I got called to my school, or to my kid's school rather, because my kid apparently hit another kid in the face, and I was like, oh shit. So I was like going down there, and I get there, and the teacher explains to me that he was putting on his jacket, and the sleeve of his jacket hit another kid in the face, and it got so heated that the principal got involved, and like I'm apparently not allowed back at the school anymore. They haven't said that, but they just ask for my wife every time. But it's like, nah, I don't agree with that. That's ridiculous. I'm like, you called me and wasted my time for me to come down there for some bullshit. Like, if my kid was, like, on the floor lawnmowering a kid, all right, fine, fair enough, call me in, that's a problem. And it's like, that's absolutely ridiculous. Like, because they're doing that whole thing in school, like, the whole personal space thing. It's like, get fucked. These kids are, like, 9 years old. They don't have personal space. They've just like, upgraded from licking each other's faces to this, so. Yeah, it's stupido. Maybe I will paint this separately. Yeah, it was like, I mean, it really was that stupid. I'm not exaggerating. Like, I thought maybe, like, at worst, I thought maybe, maybe he was putting on his jacket and he, like, struck a kid or something as he was putting on his jacket. But it wasn't even that. Like, there was, like, witnesses. They're like, nah, he was just putting on his jacket. Like, did the thing where you throw your jacket over your shoulders and the sleeve hit another kid in the face. So it's like, and I'm trying not to be a total dickhead. And I'm like, oh, so you're telling me that kid's a little bitch. I'm like, you can't say that. It's like, no, I can. I just shouldn't. That's the difference. We need to get that established. But if you're going to call me for this dumb shit, then that's absolutely going to happen. So they don't call my phone anymore when there's a problem. Which is fine, by the way. I'm fine with that. But yeah, that's the generation we're raising. So that's not fucking happening on my watch. Let me tell you. Nope. My kid shot his first deer when he was 10. Well, I mean, I don't know the situation on that, but it's especially the ages. But I can't remember. I had a similar situation with a kid with my daughter in what do you call it, in daycare. Same type of deal. Kid, I don't know. There's something wrong with the kid. I'm not like, I wasn't like being mean to the kid or the parent. Kid just being a dumb kid. And but yeah, he was biting kids or whatever, and it was one of those weird situations where like the daycare staff would like talk to the parent to try to get the parent to sort it out. Parent either didn't care or wasn't willing to figure it out. So I literally was like, with my daughter, I was like, fuck it, just bite him back real hard. And she did, and there was never a problem again. So it's like, and what I mean, really, what are the parents gonna say? Like, oh, now your kid bit mine. Okay, what are you gonna do about it? Like, it's like maybe fucking deal with your child. Like, I'm sorry that he's doing this. Like, I know it's not directly your fault, but like, come on, like, get it together. Like, you're gonna have a kid. You're gonna have to deal with some shit. I'm sorry. You're gonna have to like, fucking raise it and stuff. But yeah, so my daughter bit the kid back and never was an issue again. It was the same deal with in kindergarten. Little kid ran up and punched her in the face. She was very sad, very scared to go back to school, and I sat her down and I was like, here's what you do. It's like, when you see him at daycare, you wait till he's having fun and you walk up and you fucking deck him in the mouth. And then she did. And guess what? It never bothered her again. And she got in a little bit of trouble. And then everyone moved on with their life. So the moral of the story is might by right. I'm not encouraging savaging another person, but, remind them. Remind them where they stand. Hell, if anything, your kid, you should be instructing your kid to do stuff like that, because then you can just turn around and be like, oh, I'm sorry, my kid's special needs. You just got to watch out for that, and then he gets off scot-free. Because if anyone says anything, then you're like, well, you're a bigot. And then you destroy their fucking working life because they get their license pulled, because that's the kind of world we live in these days. Although, with your kid having a special condition, it probably wouldn't be good to encourage him to do that and then have to explain after the fact that that's not okay. That'd probably just confuse him. So, that's not a terrible thing. That's not a terrible condition. I wouldn't be worried about that. I mean, be worried in the short term, but once he's a little bit older, like, that's a good what do you call it? A good ideology to have in some respects. Like, I mean, I don't know. It's hard to say, but I mean, times are different now. Like we have things in place where, like, when he gets older, he can go into like a type of therapy, right? Which is like, there'd be someone that's literally studied about people with his condition for 7-8 years, and they understand how to interact with it better, how to get through to them better, and can explain things. And also, typically, people that function like that with autism, they're insanely intelligent, and the only thing they usually really lack in is the social aspects of intelligence, which is the social cues and how to effectively communicate with others. So usually they can go to therapy with that kind of stuff and work on it. But I mean, like I said, it's a spectrum, right? So it's hard to say. Maybe one day it'll change and he'll be fucking great at dealing with that kind of stuff. It's one of those things. It can kind of go either way. I honestly, I think it's more of one of those things where if you catch it quick enough and early enough, you can teach them just like you can teach any kid anything, really, or at least get them accustomed to it. Like, even if he's not good at it, he understands what it is. But it could be worse. At least your kid doesn't like cutting off fucking cats' heads and shit. Can't imagine fucking dealing with something like that. That'd be pretty terrible. It's like if you've ever seen the movie or read the book, We Gotta Talk About Kevin or something. Like, holy shit, man. That's like a horror story for would-be parents. My God. Except my phone did go off, and I can't remember if who was trying to get a hold of me. Oh, okay, it's just Instagram. My brother always just sending me stupid pictures. Okay, that's cool. Yeah, that's messed up. I've never really known a kid like that, but man, that fucking story is like, holy shit. I couldn't even imagine having a kid like that. Oh, I'm like painting off camera here, yeah. Actually, funny enough, My wife has a cousin who's autistic, and he's on my Instagram. He's always following me because he loves the Warhammer stuff. He loves the painting and all that stuff. So he collects Hot Wheels. So every time we travel over to BC, there we have to swing by and pick up a whole bunch of random Hot Wheels to bring. He has like he'll have a fucking Hot Wheel museum. I guarantee you at some point. That kid's got thousands, all in the packaging. Ugh, yeah, that's rough. So, I guess I'm waiting for this to dry. Just give me 2 seconds. I'm gonna go grab a drink and check on my daughter and make sure she's good. Just 1 sec. All right. Okay, good, cool, man. Yeah, you go make dinner. I will be around if you get bored or whatever. So, because it's only what? Oh, yeah, it's like noon here. So. Old ammo.
So it's a good deal.
That's fantastic. That's amazing. What was the movies that has
Okay. Yeah.
If you're wearing a tool belt and a construction
Okay. I think I'm happy with that. Do, 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 do.
Basically, they're if you were calling robots, but when they were originally made, they were made for wars with their giant chainsaws and like ripping logs with their giant claws. They were called plastic figures. Exactly, plastic fucking rocks right there. It's like they were exactly. And then like animated figures, they were that's all I want to say. They play a big part.
Do, 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 do. Ugh. Almost getting to the death copters, I swear. I swear to you. Maybe I should do like a charity thing since I'm like a crackhead and I just sit and stream this all day. Do 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 do. Okay. Waiting for paint to dry. Ugh. Maybe after this guy, I'll clean my desk. Maybe. Boom, boom. Alright, I'm going to jump off for a bit, wait for these washers to dry, and then when I'm back, we'll start on the Defcopters.